Hello, welcome. So I shared some greeting card ideas on YouTube Shorts the other week, and now here's the full tutorial. Let's get straight into it. So I've got 100% cotton paper. It's about the size of a card and it's from Bao Hong, and basically I've scored it and sort of folded it in half so you get the card. The brush I'm using is Black Velvet size 4. And I'm also using a smudge guard because this is actually, I'm really pleased to say, it's a commissioned product. So I'm being extra careful. I don't want to smudge the work that I'm doing. So I have sold this. As you can tell, I'm actually really happy. So I just want to be really careful. If you've seen any of my flowers before, I'm using exactly the same technique. I'm using the brush to paint really loose, simple flowers using the brush to create the brush strokes, to create the petals. So the composition for this is just going to be 3 flowers, one main one in the centre and 2 sort of at the side / behind the front flower is all I'm going to do. I'm using Holbein, Shell Pink and some lilac as well, and these have come out absolutely gorgeous. It's sort of looking like a pink candy colour at the minute. I'm keeping the water, I'm keeping the paints quite watery, quite light, and I've got some shimmer paints here, as you can see. I'm not entirely sure what colour this is. This particular shimmer paints are unbranded, so they haven't got a particular name to them at all. And it's sort of like an orangey, light peachy colour. It just seems to work with these flowers. So we're going to make them really shimmery, really shiny. I've kept most of this in real time for you as well. The bits that I've cut out is if I'm just washing the brush, rinsing my brush, and it's taking me ages, and also me thinking about what colour I'm going to use. But it is all pretty much in real time for you, so you can paint along with me, decide what you want to do with me as well, and if you want to create your own cards, then you've got some ideas to help you as well. As you can see, I've added some leaves. I added the stem and just a few little leaves, just small leaves. Don't get carried away. I've been using the wet on dry technique, so I haven't wetted the paper at all. I've kept it all nice and light and loose. I haven't drawn anything. If you feel like you need a little drawing or like a little outline, let me know and I can always pop something in the description for you. I've done the first layer. I don't want to do too much. I'm putting that to one side and I'm now going to focus on the second one. I'm using the side of my brush to create a bit of the petal. I'm using Shinhan PWC for this, and it's Rose Madder. I absolutely love that colour. And I'm just creating a couple of petals. I'm rinsing my brush and I'm just using the water and the brush just to sort of soften the edges a bit more and create a bit more of a petal. I'm adding in just a touch of the yellow, a touch. So what happened was a person saw my videos and asked, oh, can I do cards for them? Because she normally goes to craft fairs and she hadn't been for a while, saw that I did some flowers like this and just asked if I could put them on cards. I sort of said, yes, why not? And then I thought I'll just do a little video for you guys as well, help you with some ideas, especially if you're a beginner. This is a great way to become confident in creating your own flowers, getting crafty, making something, especially with Christmas around the corner as well. I'm really sorry to say Christmas when it's still September, but there's loads of early birds out there. There's loads of Christmas stuff out there already. Just remember to keep your paint nice and light and watery. And if you haven't got a lot of watercolour paper or you've got the cards, what you can do is you can just cut out a little bit of the watercolour paper, do your paintings, pop your pictures on there, and then just stick it onto the card if you didn't want to use up all your watercolour paper, because genuine watercolour paper, 100% cotton, isn't cheap. So that's just another way that you could perhaps create your homemade cards. Also, if you have got just normal cardstock and you paint on them, it could become ruined because cardstock isn't strong enough, or it's not the right sort of paper, it's not the right weight to hold the water that you'll be using to create these. Even though I'm not using a lot of water, you could still ruin the card and therefore ruin your picture. I'm just adding the stem here. I'm using the sap green. Use whatever colour you would like, and I've just let that bit bleed a tiny bit into the petal, a bit too much. So all I'm doing is I've rinsed my brush and I've gone back into it, and I've just gone around the petals, so it's just going to look like the green part of the flower. I'm just doing quick strokes, a quick flick of the brush to create the leaves. I have got some other tutorials on how to create loose leaves if you would like to check those out, if you want to become more confident in creating leaves, and you can have a look at those and see what you think to those. But they will definitely give you the confidence to create loose leaves. And that is pretty much it for this one. That's the first layer, and this is the third one. And we're going to, again, they're all very similar, and I'm not thinking about it too much, and I'm just using the brush to create these lovely loose little petals. I've done a nice little close-up there for you, so you can see me use the side of the brush and then add a second colour. I've used lilac and a little bit of the pink, still from the Holbein range. So these petals, I've used Holbein paint. Absolutely gorgeous, brilliant colours. These particular handmade cards are going to be for any occasion. So the person that's buying these, she can use them as a thank you card, birthday card, or just a well done card, or happy moving into your new home card, literally anything, because I'm just going to keep it blank inside. I'm not going to write anything inside. That's up to her to write anything down. But feel free to adjust the colours, adjust the picture, and if you want to write in your card, feel free to do that. I'm just adding in those little touches, getting the start of the stem added in there as well. Little touches, and then I'm just softening the edges a little bit on that one. And then we're just going to go in with our second colour. So the person that's ordered these, she wanted a couple of similar ones, so that's why I've kept it all very, very similar. If you are doing the same and you want to batch create some of your own handmade cards, try and do the same thing, because then it just saves you having lots of different colours on your palette. And if you're all doing them the same or similar colours, you don't have to keep adding lots of different colours. If you add too many colours, you do possibly get that muddy look if you add too many colours. I'm adding in the stem. A couple of those have gone a touch bit wonky. That's okay, that's what I wanted, a nice natural look. And then just little flicks with the brush to create those little leaves. Again, I'm being really, really careful. I don't want to smudge anything. Take your time on it. Leave that to one side, and then we're on the next one. So this one, I did a little tutorial on this. Really, really easy. We're using the C-shape method. So first of all, create your C's like this. And I'm just doing 3 on this one. I'll leave you the link in the description box so you can have a look at the one I made previously. It wasn't on a card, it was just a quick little picture. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add water into the C shape and create the petals like this. Really easy, really simple. Use a clean brush, make sure you rinse off all the paint, and take off the excess, and then just create your petals like so. Perfect for a little card like this. All I'm doing is just moving the paint that is already on the paper. I'm just moving that around with the water and just creating the petals. And here I'm just adding in a touch more pigment, a touch more paint, just to make that blend a bit more and get a bit more definition on there as well, and also create a few more shapes to the petals as well. And I'm just adding in a bit of that yellow into the petals as well. Just keep it with a couple of colours because we're adding in some shimmer colour as well. Don't add too many colours into the petals, or at least at this stage, don't add too many. And we're just going to, again, blend it all nicely. If you are looking to create your own homemade or handmade cards, and you want me to show you how I went about scoring the paper and then folding the paper in half, let me know in the comments if that is something you would like me to show you how to do and what materials you need for that. I did look at videos just to see if that's something that was available online on YouTube. I did find a couple of videos, but they're all quite old. So if you do want me to do something like that, I'll be more than happy to show you exactly how I created the cards, as it were, out of watercolour paper. And we're just adding in the stem. And you don't have to be completely straight with the stems. You can make them nice and wavy. Feel free to be as creative as you would like to be. All I'm doing here, I'm just using the shape of the brush to easily create the leaf. So I've done it slightly differently and just tap it onto your paper like this, and then it just creates a really nice little leaf. And then we are pretty much done with that one, with the first layer. Looks really nice. And I'm going to use that same technique again for this one as well. So I'll go through that one again with you. So C shape, really bright, bold colours. Rinse your brush, get the excess off, and then just with some water, create your petals like this. You're adding the water to the pigment, and the pigment is going to flow into that water. And it's just a brilliant, easy, simple technique for you to create your petals. Look at that. How simple was that? I'm sure anyone can do that. I'm going to do another one. I've changed the colour slightly, and I'm using, I think this is Viridian Hue. I will leave all the colours that I've used in the description box, but honestly, feel free to use whatever colours you already have. And then the third one, I've done the same colour, Rose Madder. I'm using quite a small brush as well. It's a size 4 brush. If you use a bigger brush, you're going to get different results. And I've been really careful to use a smaller brush, so then I feel like I've got a bit more control over what I'm doing. I'm adding some of the shimmer purple into this flower now, just on the edges, and just while the water is still, not water is still wet, of course water is wet, whilst the paper is still wet, and then the shimmer colours are moving around on that paper as well. I've added in some of that yellow as well into each of those petals, and that just blooms nicely within that petal. Absolutely brilliant. And then adding my wonky / straight stem into the petals. I've mainly used sap green, and if you do want to use an even smaller brush to get a bit more control and get even thinner stem lines, then of course by all means do that. I'm adding on the leaves in exactly the same way. Use the tippy pointy bit of your brush to create those leaves. And then that one is done for the moment as well. Put it to one side. And then we're going to go back to the one we started with, that's fully dried now, and just go in with a second layer, just a few little touches of detail and a bit more of this shimmer as well. So I've gone in with a little bit of the red just to add a second layer, like I say, and just to give it a sort of a shadow effect and just give it a bit of depth and a bit of interest and make it stand out a bit more as well. I'm mostly adding on little bits of colour and then rinsing my brush and just blending the colours that I've already put down. Like here, I'm working on towards the centre of the petal there, where it's naturally going to be a touch bit darker, and then I'm just going to blend some little bits out. We'll go back into the centre of the petals a bit later on, and that'll just give it a final look, but we'll do that a bit later on. Do you see how I'm just adding a little bit of the colour onto the edges? And this is the layering effect, when you leave one layer to dry and then you add on a second layer and you build up the colours like that. So I'm just using some of that shimmer paint, the gold shimmer, just to add some colour, add some shine and sparkle. And I'm using a green shimmer here just to do the same thing, and I've done close-ups just so that you can see, because it's really hard to see sort of sparkly and shimmery colours. So I really do hope you can see how lovely the shimmer and sparkly paints really are. So that is nearly done. We've just got the centre of the flower to do on that one. We will come back to that in a second. This was the second one. Again, similar sort of thing. I'm just going to add in a bit more colour and then we'll blend it out. So for this one, I just used the tippy pointy bit of the brush again, used the lines to be veins basically, and I probably did get a little bit carried away, and I probably did overdo this one, this particular flower a bit too much. And this is the importance of planning and making sure you don't do too much, but it still worked out in the end. I'm adding the gold here, and I think I went a touch bit heavy-handed because I've done the whole petal. So this is me trying to rectify it and correct it by spreading that paint around rather than grabbing some more paint. So all I'm doing is I've rinsed my brush already and I've gone back in just to try and blend it out a bit more. It still worked. I'm still really pleased with it and it still looks really good, but I felt like it was good to show you. Adding in that gorgeous yellow as well, blend it all in, give it a bit of interest, and it just looks so nice. And then I end up flicking my paintbrush. Got a bit annoyed at myself, but no smudges. I can start adding some of that shimmer into the leaves now as well. So that's all I'm doing here. Add it in places, add it wherever you want. And it just all works. It really does work when you see the end results, I promise you. Once you've done your final little touches in places, we can put that to one side as well. And we're going to go back to the third one that we did. And same thing, just going to add a few little bits of details really carefully around the flower, around the petals and on the leaves as well. I've put some of that yellow on the petal and on the edges, on the outside of the petal as well, and just blended that in. And the same thing here, I'm creating more layers to make the flower look a bit more 3D, and just going in with a bit more pigment on the edges of the flowers. And I'm just blending that out a bit more, just to give a bit more shape to the flowers there. And I'm just picking up some colour and just dropping it in to the damp flower, and that creates a little bit of texture as well. Let's put that to one side and go back to this one. I've got some gold shimmer in my brush and I'm just adding that on top, sort of like a glazing effect on this one. So I'm using the glazing technique to put the shimmer on top of the flower that's already there. And then I'm adding some of the same colour, that rose madder or that red colour, just to create that 3D effect, and also to start putting some darker areas in there, some of the shadow. And I'm just doing that just around the outer petals. And you can just make a bit of a shape with the petals as well to make it give it that 3D look. If you are interested in looking into the layering effect a bit more, there is a short series that I've done called How to Paint an Hibiscus, and I've done that in 3 parts because that took about an hour in total, but I split that into 3 parts specifically for beginners to help you. So I'll leave that in the link as well. Have a look at that. Feel free to give that a go as well. I have got to make a birthday card as well, so I'll be sure to film that, and I'll make sure I'll do a small tutorial when I put that together as well for you. Consider subscribing because I don't always have an exact schedule of when I'm going to upload, and I know that's not really a good thing to do. I'm aiming to upload every Friday. That's the plan anyway. And this one is pretty much done, so we'll put that to one side and we'll grab one of our earlier ones that has now dried. I'm using the same reddy orangey, I think it was Viridian Hue on that one, just to create another side of the petal, make it look a bit more 3D. And I'm just adding in a touch of yellow just around the outer petals of it, again just to give it another effect. And I'm just dropping in a bit more of the same colour, just slightly darker, just dropping it in here and there. And then the same with this one, I've picked up the red just to make that stand out against the purple, and just going in, giving the flower a bit more shape to it. I am painting loose. I believe this is known as loose flowers, where there's no drawing involved whatsoever. But I have been painting like this for quite some time. So before you actually paint onto the actual card or paper that you're going to give to whoever you want to give it to, feel free to practice either in a sketchbook or some scrap paper if you're not yet comfortable to paint directly onto the paper. I've been practicing loads, and I encourage you to practice, because you really will get better and better at it. Also, don't worry about your mistakes either. The mistakes are where you learn, and where the magic happens or an accident happens. That's where you learn how to create an effect, how to blend something, how not to blend something, where the colours work, where the colours don't work. So I've added some gold shimmer there, and then that one is done. We need to go back to this first one where I just need to finalise a few details and just give it a bit more of a shape. I don't want to overdo it, so that's why I'm just being really careful. I've switched to a different brush. It's a Winsor & Newton size 4 brush, not too big at all. The bristles are different. It doesn't hold as much water, so that's why you can see my hand going back and forth. But it just holds a lot less water, and I've got a bit more control over the pigment, and I can put the paint down a lot easily and not have too much water. I'm just adding a little bit of the gold just on the edges, just to shape the petals. So I forgot to do the centre, so I'm just grabbing some Payne's Grey and I've added that on. Oh, talk about make a mistake. I'm getting a cloth, I'm just gonna dab that and it's fine. Panic over. Do you see what I mean? Don't worry about making a mistake. That was not planned, I promise you. I think I am feeling a little bit under pressure because I know someone's already bought this and I just want it to be perfect. Anyway, it's fine. Let's look at this next one. So the other reason why we do the layering technique with watercolour is because when you put a colour down, it always looks darker than what it actually dries. So this one I think is a really good example of the colours looking much lighter than when we first put them down. So that's why we can put on a second or third layer once the layer before it has dried. I hope that's making sense, but it will just make the colours stand out a bit more. I've mixed some Payne's Grey and some sepia together to get that bold colour, and I'm just putting very little touches down. I'm being really careful and just put little touches down. If you do make a mistake, as you've seen, we can always correct it. Whilst the paint is still wet or damp, we can still correct it. So I'm just blending these little bits out and making them work within the petals, within the flower and the picture overall. I'm happy with that. I don't want to do anything else to that. So I'm going to put that to one side and pick up another one. I'm using my shimmer paints to add some colour to it. I'm mostly using the gold one, even though I've got some different colours. I seem to be really liking the gold effect as well. If you haven't got shimmer paints, maybe you've got metallic paints, maybe you've got a completely different brand, you can use those as well. And that is it with this one. I'm going to pick up some of the gold again and I'm going to give this a border. I'm just basically popping down wiggly lines. This is because I'm finding it very difficult to paint straight lines. So if you can do straight lines and you're happy with that, then do that. If you're like me and very much unable to do straight lines, just wiggle them out a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, I actually think it looks better without it not being perfect. Let me know in the comments what you think, what you genuinely think. And I'm doing 2 lots of the border, so 2 lots of lines. I just feel like it completes the picture, it completes the card a bit better. I was going to add on just splatter, and I do add splatter, by the way, but I just feel like it still needed something else. I'm just going to add the border to this side, and then we will add a little splatter in a second. I'm just putting it on this towel. I get splatter everywhere. I've used the red, but I really like adding the shimmer splatter, some gold, red, orange, whatever colour you've got. Just use a small brush and you just get a little sparkly effect with the little splatters as well. It's just brilliant. I love it. Don't do too much. That is done. I'm not going to do any more. That is done. Let's add some final little touches to this one, and then we'll do exactly the same thing. I've gone in with the gold again. That just seems so nice. The gold just stands out so much for me. So little touches again, just dropping a few of the gold in places and just adding a few final details. I'm just being careful not to add too much. So I think if you use this technique, which is just like I've been saying throughout, just drop little bits in. I'm not sure if it's classed as real painting, but it's getting paint down onto paper and creating something pretty. I'm adding in that mix of Payne's Grey and sepia just to give it a little bit more depth to the stem and just to make some bits stand out a little bit more. I decided to add in an extra couple of leaves at the end as well. If you feel like you need to add something into your picture and you're confident to do that, then please go ahead and do that. I'm adding some splatter onto this card now. I'm using the turquoise colour shimmer card. I don't think I've used that colour before, so I just thought I would add that on. I've turned my card upside down just to add some shimmer to the top as well. And then I'm just adding a touch more, and then that is it. I'm not doing any more on that one either. That one's done. Let's work on the final details for this one. Same dark mixture with the Payne's Grey and Sepia, just to add to the stems and to add to the little areas on the leaves, just to give some depth, make some parts of the leaf stand out because you need tonal values. And then we're going to add some splatter on this as well. I ended up adding another leaf on this one, but I really like how this one turned out. Because I'm not using too much water, it's done that little effect there. And I think that is going to be it on this. Oh, let me just blend a couple of bits out like so. I'm going in with a bit of that red in places just to give some of the petals a little bit of a definition, but I really like how this particular flower has turned out. It looks a bit unusual, looks a bit odd, but it still looks nice. And then I'm just going to blend these little bits out. And do you see how the little touches, it just makes such a big difference to the flower? Adding some dark areas in, be bold and brave to do that. I've chosen a purple shimmer colour for this. I've not used that much of the purple shimmer, so that's why I thought I'll use this one. And again, it just looks so nice. I really like it. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I know it was a bit longer than what I've normally done. I think this is the next longest one after the hibiscus painting, which I split into 3. This is probably quite a long video. So I really do hope you enjoyed it and you were able to create something as well. You can make these into wall art as well. They don't have to be homemade cards. You can cut the paper or trim it, pop it into a frame, and you've got yourself a little picture or a present for someone. I'm also pleased, really happy to report back to you that the person that did buy these, she absolutely loved them when she got them as well. So really happy with that. I am also on Instagram and TikTok, although these days I seem to be more on TikTok than Instagram, to be completely honest. But if you did want to get in touch with me, show me what you've made, or just get in touch if you wanted a quick chat or an opinion, then I'm at Bloom Art by SW on both platforms. On this one, I've got the splatter mostly at the top, but do you see what I mean about getting carried away? I've still added more things, but that one is done. And then just checking this is dry, and it is. So I'm just going to finalise a few things on this card as well. I think the petals on this one did go a little bit funny on this, but it's fine. I'm still going to make it work by using a bit more of that purple shimmer and using that as a shadow and popping that down in areas like this. on this one, I just did the splatter. I didn't originally put a border on there and it just didn't look like it had finished. So that's why I've put that to one side for now. And then I'm just going to focus on this one for the moment. I still hadn't done the centre of the flower on this one, so I'm using that Payne's Grey mixture just to go in very carefully into the centre of the petals, just to finalise the flowers on these. Make sure you take a step back before you keep adding things to it. If you feel like you need to add to it, then fine, but take a step back every now and then. I'm just going in with that red just to give the petals a bit more shadow, give it a bit more definition. I've rinsed my brush and I'm just blending the paint out. I'm just using the paint that's already on the paper there and just spreading that out a little bit. And then I'm just adding in that splatter. Love the splatter. And I'm not doing too much, don't want to overdo that. And then that is it. And like I mentioned earlier, I ended up adding some more of the border on all of them. It just seemed to work, and here's the final pictures. It's a bit hard to capture the shimmer, so that's why I showed you the little videos earlier. And yeah, that's the final results. See you next time. Bye.